Alright, so today we're going to be looking at, I guess you could say, characters and how they've aged slash who's the most used characters of all time. So we're going to be taking a look at the Spiral Abyss usage rates for a lot of these characters, and they were put together, also brought up from two different websites or two different posts, and I will be putting these websites and links inside the description in case you want to look at it, show your support, all that type of stuff. But on Reddit, Level Your already had posted the Spiral Abyss usage rates all the way from 1.5 to 3.5, and then we also have the Spiral Abyss website, which of course they will be down in the description for you to look at, so that you can play around with it, make your own analysis, all that type of stuff. But their links will be in the description below. But let's go ahead and start looking at the Spiral Abyss usage rates, and of course, as you can see, this screen is very bright for me right now, so it is blinding me at the moment, so I'll be making it darker for y'all, and hopefully y'all won't notice how bright it is on my screen. But as you can see, this graph is a crazy amount of lines corresponding to a lot of the better characters in the game, or a lot of the characters in the game. And today we're going to be taking a look at each element, see which characters are at the top of the chart, at the bottom, which ones started good, ended up bad, and then started bad, ended up good. All this type of stuff is really cool to look at. I love seeing this stuff, especially because it shows basically the meta side of Genshin Impact. As you can see, like, the Spiral Abyss usage stats, if they're using these characters in the game, that means they were the best at that time, or they were the characters that were able to beat the Spiral Abyss. So it's really cool to look at this type of stuff. It's really the meta defining point when it comes to teams and characters and what they use. So let's go ahead and start looking at it. We're gonna go by element at the moment, and then we're gonna see from there. As you can see, Kazuha is at the #1 spot. I guess this is a no-brainer, a easy to know option, because Kazuha is just so amazing in crowd control, and he also has, his ult, his EM sharing C2, all that type of stuff. So yeah, I can see easily why he's at the #1. And looking at this person with the super high usage and super low spike, like holy crap. Venti, of course, being one of the earlier 5 stars in Genshin, I can see why he was basically near the top at almost 100% usage rate when he came out. It's just that as time went on, they started bringing characters or units or enemies that weren't getting sucked up by his burst, so this made him, I guess you could say, really low in terms of usability. But then he came back, I presume this is when he got his rerun, and then they made an abyss where a lot of the stuff could be brought into his burst, and then it went straight back down. But yeah, a lot of the characters or the enemies that have been in the Spiral Abyss recently don't really cater towards Venti. Venti's a little bit more of an overworld unit, so this would be higher if it brought overworld usage as well, but since we're doing the Spiral Abyss, is more on the meta side. So although Venti's still a really nice character when it comes to CC in the overworld and sometimes the earlier floors of the Abyss, I can see why he's dropped down to almost the lowest character in the game in terms of animal usage. Next up we have, what is this? That's still Venti, Kazuha. We have Zhao. Zhao is also at the decline. A lot of these characters are at a decline, actually. No one's really using these characters in terms of the animal element by itself as much as Kazuha has been using. He's dominating the charts absolutely when it comes to people using him on the team. Zhao is on a downward spiral. Jean, of course, is a standard 5-star. Not a lot of people use her. Sucrose gets a little bit of a bump. Has a little bit few peaks, I guess you could say. She's an amazing unit, but for the Spiral Abyss, Sucrose is more on the reaction side, trying to one-shot boss side. So like, there's not a lot of usage for Sucrose, I guess you could say, in these Spiral Abyss floors with a bunch of different enemies, a bunch of different waves. Of course, there are a bunch of team comps you can use with Sucrose, but I can understand why she would be lower. And then you have Sayu, of course, not the best thing in the world, and Heizo at the bottom as well. So yeah, you can easily see that the prime CCers like Kazuha, Venti, these are the top 2, while everyone else that is in a DPS position and all of these other support characters aren't being used as well, just because they're far inferior to Venti and Kazuha, especially Kazuha. So let's go ahead and start with Cryo, and I'm actually, oh wow, holy, okay, so you can easily see automatically from the difference between Animal having at least one peaking unit where everyone's using them basically, and then Cryo's in a downward spiral. This is actually very interesting to see. Who is... Okay, so Ganyu, of course, yes, the Coco Goat. The GOAT of all time when it comes to Cryo DPS. She actually has been thrown down. All of these characters have been thrown down very, very low. I want to see Eula. Where's she at? Yeah, every character so far has been thrown all the way down to some low usage rate, 18%, 16% usage rate, with Ayaka coming out on top for Cryo. That's actually very interesting. It makes sense that Cryo is losing a lot of, you know, usage in the Spiral Abyss just because of how strong Dendro is and the fact that Cryo never got a reaction with Dendro. It makes sense that as time went on that, you know, a lot of these teams are more focused on Dendro and Dendro focused elements like Pyro, like Hydro, like Electro, which I'm thinking that Electro characters and Dendro characters are probably going to be at the top of the list most likely. Possibly Hydro characters as well, but we'll see into that. But it's really cool seeing that a lot of the characters that are in the Cryo elements are actually not being used a lot, just because it seems like Dendro has basically taken a hit by the time or near the time that Dendro came along. So this is actually very cool to see. All right, let's look at Dendro. I know this is going to be super high for a lot of these characters. Oh wow, it's not as high as I thought. Nahida, of course, she's literally the most busted unit in the game by far. Infinite Dendro support, absurd EM sharing, linking characters with the Trikarma purification stuff. Absolutely amazing character, holy crap. And then Alhaitham is a super crazy Dendro DPS as well, having access to Hyper Bloom, being able to have a nasty team with like Yelan, Kuki, and Nahida. Like, there's some really cool characters that you could put Alhaitham with. I don't see Alhaitham nor Nahida going down in the future just because of how busted Dendro reactions are. But as you can see at the bottom, Kolai, not a lot of people use her. She's a little bit stiff when it comes to Dendro application, not really the best. Tainari, I can kind of see why. She is a standard banner unit, and for the most part, for the people that summon for Tainari, I guess you can say are the whales or the people that really wanted him. But if they're already spending on Tainari before he was put into the standard banner, you probably have better people to use like Alhaitham, so I can kind of understand why Tainari is below. Traveler, as you can see, had a super high peak. I guess this is around the time people started understanding that Dendro MC was absolutely busted. He was one of the better elements for Traveler, and Dendro Traveler is a really good substitution for a lot of the Dendro characters in the game if you don't have any, so I can understand why his peak is so high. But as more Dendro characters come out, you can see that he's like basically nearing in the middle of all these other characters. And then Yao Yao on the increase as well. Amazing healing, amazing Dendro support, good application. So yeah, you can see I'm pretty sure she's gonna be a little bit higher until we see what Kave and what is it called, and Baiju do. But Yayao's gonna be on the come up as well. Kale is going up very small. Not, like I said, not the best applicator or anything by, you know, those means. So let's go ahead and go into Electro. I actually want to see what this one is. Raiden Shogun at the top, and stays at the top very consistently. You know, she is just a really good support, really good for energy recharge. Her hyper carry teams are busted as well, so you can easily see why she's alone at the top. Kuki Shinobu, as you can see, she was at the very bottom, going all the way to almost 36% usage. It makes sense that she's getting that spike of gameplay because of, you know, Dendro and the reactions. She provides healing, she provides the Hyper Bloom applicator, the Hyper Bloom driver. So it is actually really cool seeing that she's going up. Yai Miko, she had a very high usage rate at the start, then it started dwindling down, and then I guess it's just that Yai Miko is really good for aggravate, right? But the thing is that Hyper Bloom is so much better than aggravate because of, you know, all the different damage instances. You can pop it all with the seeds. Aggravate, I don't know, it's just Yai Miko has a DPS role, or Yai Miko period. You can see that Fischl is, you know, static as well. She's amazing. I just don't know. Yai Miko is a little bit in a weird spot. She is good as a sub DPS, or I guess you say support. But in terms of Dendro reactions, I don't know. You kind of have to build hyper carry Yai Miko, I feel like, if you want to use her for current Dendro teams. Because she doesn't, and I don't think so, because I don't use her that much. I don't think she reacts very well with Dendro core, so I'm not 100%. Who is this person at the very... Oh, Sino, sheesh. Okay, so yeah, you can see he was... By the time he came out, he had a very high peak, and then he plummeted. Holy. I guess this is, like I said in my video where I talked about Sino, that, you know, a lot of people just didn't like his gameplay style, his gameplay loop, because there were not a lot of characters that came out during the time that Sino came out for Dendro applications. So I can see why he's going on the downfall. Kujo Sara, not really used unless you have C6, so it's understandable that she's down low. Kaching, she got a little bit of a bump of usage when people, I guess, started realizing that dendro was a thing and that she would be kind of cracked for dendro. And then Beidou, she's, you know, on the drop. And then Razor's Razor. I'm surprised Lisa didn't get as high of a spike nor a Razor with dendro, so that's really interesting. Geo, I already know Zhongli. Yeah, Zhongli's the crutch for a lot of Abyss usage. That makes sense. Why is there this big gap here? Like, you see how all of these characters plummeted, like absolutely plummeted once. Oh, I think I see why. I think this is around the time Sumru came out. No, I think so. If I'm not wrong, this is around the time Sumru came out. So no one was using Geo because Geo did not have a new reaction with dendro. It makes a lot of sense. I think, if I'm not wrong, you can correct me, but I do think around this time period from April to May, this is where Sumru came out. And you can see why a lot of people dropped Geo in usage, just because everyone was trying out dendro, using dendro. So holy crap. But as you can see, Zhongli, no matter what, is going to stay at a relevant spot just because of his impossible to break shield. So this is really interesting. Albedo is, you know, right there with the signature. Geo, same with Ito. This is basically the team you need. Ito, Albedo, and I'm gonna guess Goro is next. Yeah, and Goro is the next character. With every other character not really being part of the mainstream Geo teams, just because they don't fit really. Goro, Albedo, Arataki Ito, and Zhongli are the premier 5-star team, so I can see why these are the top 4, and then the rest just don't synergize that well with other characters, especially Yunjin. She's pretty good when it comes to like buffing Yoimiya and buffing Ayato, but other than that, she's not really used in a lot of other teams. Now Hydro, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to be at the top. Yeah, so you can see this sheet is a lot more spread out and more towards the top of the list than it is the bottom, and that's just because Hydro is just such a strong element. It provides a lot of different reactions to other good elements. You know, there's vaporizers, there's vaporize, there is frozen, there's the bloom cores, all that type of stuff, so you can see why. Yelan, do I need to say more? Yelan and Xingqiu are both at the very top of the list. You already know why. Their burst is busted, their skills are nice. There's literally no reason not to understand why these two are at the top, especially because now, since we have a mirror of Yelan and Xingqiu, that means you can run both on one side or have one on both sides, so it makes sense that their usage rates are super high. Kokomi, as you can see, absolutely like at the bottom of the list. Like, she was super low. People started realizing she was getting good, and bam, she got that nice spike. Now she's more stabilized towards the middle as more characters come out. So this is a really good spot for Kokomi. She is absolutely amazing, and I'm pretty sure she'll still be good in the future. Nilu, a very new unit. She went from everyone using her at the beginning, then she started mellowing out. I do think she's a very strong freaking unit, and I mean busted. Now all we need is a dendro shielder, and I feel like I will love this team even more because I hate when she gets thrown around. But Nilu at, you know, the middle is not that bad, honestly. She is a very niche type of character, especially a little bit held back by her mechanic being only dendro and hydro related. You have to have them on the team. But other than that, it's a really, really good character. Ayato's next, then Child, and then Mona. I see a lot of these characters. I'm assuming because, you know, dendro came around this time. A lot of the reaction characters from, you know, Hydro, Pyro, Electro, all these characters get this spike near Sumru's beginning. And then Geo and Cryo got a inverted version of it because there was no reaction with it. And then Barbara at the bottom, Lamal. Pyro, okay. Pyro, oh wow, you see Daya just right here. Bennett, no one needs to say anymore. Xiangling and Bennett are at the top. I'm surprised Xiangling is near the bottom. Not near the bottom, but near the middle. I would assume her to be right next to Bennett because I see a lot of people use her. And she is busted. Hu Tao, of course, and a lot less people use Hu Tao, of course, because supports are the king of the game. Yoimiya. Now, Yoimiya is a little bit hard to use in the Abyss just because she's so single target, but with the sheer amount of damage that she does, it does help a bit. Toma got a little bit of a spike, as you can see. Oh, this is Klee. Whoa. Why is Klee? Whoa. Why did Klee get a spike here? Where's Toma at? Diluc, Amber, Shinyan. Trying to see where Toma came out because I want to see how Sumru affected him, but it seems that his is so low. Oh, actually, he didn't get that much of an increase during Sumru, which is surprising because he's like the _1 virgin type dude. All right, now we're going to be looking at limited 5 stars. Who's the top of the list? Of course, Nahida, like I said, busted. She's gonna stay that way for a long time. Kazuha, Yalan, Raiden Shogun, Zhongli. Yeah, I can see why all of these characters are as high as they are, and especially because a lot of these characters are very, not old, but they are pretty aged. These are going to be like the top characters for sure for a long time, especially considering their age. They've been here for this long. They've been at the top of the charts for a very long time. These are the characters that are going to stay here, especially Nahida. She's just absolutely broken. I cannot wait till she gets a rerun to talk about her a little bit more. So those are the top 5 stars, I guess you say. Raiden Shogun, Zhongli, Yalan, Kazuha, and Nahida. Let's go ahead and look at standard 5 stars. Of course, Tainari's at the top. He's a little bit more, useful, a little bit more new with the dendro element than Mona. Then Kaching. Oh, is it? Wait. Oh, it's Jean. Then Kaching. Okay, that's kind of cool. Interesting that Jean is a little bit higher than Mona. I mean, then Kaching, with dendro and all that type of stuff. Then support, we have, oh my bad, I did not mean to do that, Loma. And then 4-star, Bennett, Xingqiu, Xiangling, Kuki, and Fischl. Yeah, I 100% knew this was going to be the outcome. But it's some really cool stuff, especially with like how all these, all this data is really cool to look at. Especially with all these different filters and seeing all these different characters with their spikes in Sumru. This is the coolest part. Seeing how the spikes in Sumru change a lot of these characters' usage, it's really cool to look at how, basically the elements that react with dendro got a spike, while the elements that did it like cryo and geo, it was the exact opposite. That's really cool. But other than that, that's going to be it for this video. I enjoy looking at all of these different graphs. This is super cool. But other than that, we're going to be talking about other characters in the future, and I got another video for y'all, discussion type, coming soon. So other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See y'all on the next one, and peace.